So I was talking to James the other day and we were saying how tricky January always feels. And I was wondering, what is it about January that has this kind of overwhelm and expectation, if you like? And I think, when we get to the holidays in December, we have permission, naturally, to slow down and rest. But then the new year happens and there's all these big expectations and big plans for January, big yearly reviews of the previous year. What have I achieved in the past year? What's gone really well? What haven't I achieved? What things have to go on the to-do list for this year? What action steps can I take? And all that busy, scary stuff. This is going to be the year where I get everything together. But it's winter here in the Northern Hemisphere, so it's a time for deeper reflection and hibernating as we experience the shorter, darker days during the winter months. A time to get quiet and go within. Being with the trees and walking in the forest brings a welcome comfort from the hurly-burly. I walk around these tree friends in absolute awe and wonder, with a deep gratitude for the energy they bring me. I did imagine starting January energised and feeling new. The practical issues that came up have certainly not helped. Having a freezing cold studio while the heating system was broken meant a forced slow start to my year, and I wasn't entirely happy about it. But now I'm actually grateful for it. James always says we need to flip things around, and so I looked at it from a different angle, and I saw it as a gift from the Great Spirit. A chance to have some space, to ebb and rest amongst the flow, and permission to acknowledge just how unmotivated I currently feel. So I'm wintering, I'm going inwards, finding my inner compass ready for when the time comes to adventure again. I'm finding some directions I want to go in, without any pressure. I was thinking maybe I forget the New Year element at the moment and head towards the Chinese New Year. This was the time years ago when I gave birth to my own daughter, so maybe that's naturally a better time for me to birth things and renew. Maybe that's when some energy returns. I look forward to it, but I also want to find ways to enjoy and honour these slow and often strange days. I want to curl up with a book and find the answer in gratitude. So I want to look at this January as a time for sweet reflection, mindfulness, meditations, and small steps in the right directions, and feel and share gratitude. And most of all, I want to always know that I can find my peaceful centre. And so no matter where I am in the world and what I'm doing, and how stormy it gets, I can always rely on myself to find that place within. And on the days I find that tricky, I can just go to the forest and remind myself of where that part of me is, put my roots down, have a strong trunk, and reach my branches up for the bright sky. And reaching up there, everything feels possible. A place where, if we believe, we can make our dreams come true. So I'm having one of those days where I just can't seem to get started on anything. And I'm trying to get into something and then it's just not happening. And I've just put a little post on my Instagram to see if anyone else is feeling the same. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to reading the answers to that later. So I'd like to continue with some journaling. And I think this week what I'm going to be working on is some intentions with gratitude. So link the two together. And I've been thinking this morning how gratitude practices are so good for us and such a powerful tool for our well-being toolboxes. So good for stress, depression, keeping our joy and positive mental attitude up. They're even good for sleep and our immune systems. So I'm definitely going to be continuing my gratitude practices for this year. And I wanted to do some more in my journal. And I did set up a gratitude page. And so I think I might work on that today, and I thought I might take you with me while I do it. And then maybe you can journal along with me and we can keep each other company. Or maybe it might give you some ideas of how you want to bring gratitude practices into your year as well for 2022. Because let's bring in some joy and positivity. And I think the perfect way of doing that, instead of doing the New Year resolution type thing, is to actually, yes, it's a good thing to have New Year intentions. I'm not saying it's not. But that whole resolution thing, it it feels like too much of a pressure for me anyway in January. And of course, New Year is a perfect time for resets and setting intentions. And I think that's where I'm at. And I'm thinking of doing a whole January, February reset type thing where I'm just going to reset a load of things, routines, habits and things like that in my life, and so that I can wake up when it's spring and start feeling as bright as I should be, and hopefully can resolve things like my sleeplessness and things like that are really having an impact on my well-being. So that's the plan anyway. And I'll probably do a whole video on my reset process once I've got it kind of in my head, and also not just in my head, but that commitment that I've made towards the things that I'm planning, if that makes sense. Because at the moment, if I'm really honest, and I know I can be honest in here with you, but if I'm really honest, I'm not feeling it yet. I'm not feeling that urge of commitment into, resetting, and it just feels a little bit too much and a little bit too much pressure, if I'm honest. I'm just not quite there yet. And I think before I decide on my actual reset intentions, if you like, and set up a little bit of a plan, a little bit of a game plan, I think I'd like to get back into more of my joyful existence, because the January blues have crept up on me, I have to be honest. And I think, things like my sleeplessness is really not helping me. And I've had 3 particularly bad nights of sleep. And so that's obviously having an impact onto things like, me getting motivated, for example, today, and not feeling like I can begin, even though I've got some really lovely things that I want to be getting on with. And we have to remember, don't we, that we are human and we are works in progress every step of the way, every stage of our lives, aren't we? And I think it's easy to forget, isn't it, where maybe in previous stages in our life we've had things really together and we've maybe done a reset and it's been really consistent and successful, and we feel really proud of ourselves and we feel really good and we can shine our lights bright and all that good stuff. But then everything ebbs and flows, doesn't it? Just like nature cycles, the moon cycles. And so we have to remember that we ebb and flow as well. And I think I'm having a little bit of mental difficulty trying to get my head round another reset of my systems, if you like. I'm definitely not goal-oriented this year, so it's more about slow and steady wins the race, if you like. I'm not about sort of all the big stuff. But I think the other thing as well that I've been talking to James about this week is why January is so difficult. And there's quite a lot of reasons for that, particularly in the Northern Hemisphere where we have sort of our darkest days and the weather's cold and things like that. And for me personally, the heating has been broken in my studio for such a lot. It's been a bit ridiculous, really. So, and I know what you're going to say, but and thank you. But I think it's sorted now. So it's certainly warm today, which is lovely. And I think what I'm trying to say is I'm just not in that sort of January, New Year reset energy. I'm really still in my kind of cocoon and hibernating stage, and that's okay with me. And I've decided to take it really gentle on myself. So I want to bring my joy levels up, and then really hoping that that's going to incentivize me to put some other systems and routines and good habits in place to keep my lights shining bright, basically. And actually vlogging and making YouTube videos is really good for this, because I can then look back and I've got this kind of visual record of, tracking my year. And I was thinking about a video I made last year, actually, and I think it was called January Blues, where I was feeling exactly the same. So I might go back and just review that video and see if it relates. I can bet that it has similarities to how I'm feeling now. And I was in my other studio at that point as well, so that'll be a bit weird looking back. I think I moved into here officially on the 1st of February last year, so in bulk for me. That's the sort of turning of the wheel of the year. Yeah, so I've almost been in here a year, so that's another thing to think about as well. So I think the other thing that's stopping me from getting going today is the fact that everything is everywhere. And it's not just the creative spaces where things are a creative mess, and that's a good thing. It's everywhere. And so, it's really difficult to remember where things are and then get across the room. I've got extra heaters in here that I've been using, and it's all a bit crazy. So I think at some point, hopefully in the next week or two, I need to clean this mess up. Declutter a bit and turn it back into more of a happy place space. I love the mess, and I love that I can leave stuff out, but then sometimes it gets to the point where it's just really too much, and I need to fix it, sort it out, face up to it, if you like. And again, that is not always easy to get that motivation for, is it? So I think it's the motivation bit that I'm lacking, and I'm preempting that with bringing in some joy. So what I thought I would do is to work a bit in my on my gratitude pages and share what I do, whatever that is. The no plan, you know. Everyone's allowed to do that. That was pretty relaxing to actually get into, and no pressure activity, because I'd already set it up obviously with my prompts, top 10 of 2021, and I could have gone into more detail into some of them, I think,
some of the experiences I've had with friends and family have been, even more meaningful because of the situation in the world. And, sometimes we can get together, sometimes we can't. So, the wedding I went to, daughter's wedding, that was pretty out there. So I kind of include that into number 2. And then nature is obviously a massive part of it as well. So experiences, I think, and spaces, home and studio, entertainment things. So when I really, really need to switch off and the world just feels too loud, I usually lose myself in a movie or a book. And yeah, I've spent a lot of time just sort of watching movies and stuff, which has been just a really nice way to switch off when I need to. So that's nice. And obviously having the home to do it in as well. And I'm thinking, once I've got my joy back up from doing my gratitude practice, I really would like to, move into actually some action steps for the intentions for 2022. And I might do them as a gratitude list, actually. So therefore, it's not something that I want to happen or I want to achieve. It's already there. So it's kind of like a manifesting gratitude, setting intentions for the year kind of situation. That's what I'm thinking though, because I think that will make it extra powerful, if that makes sense, setting it up like that. So it would almost be like a sort of vision board, intention, list situation. So yeah, as I said earlier though, I'm not quite ready for that yet because it just feels a little bit too much. I just want to think about, gratitude and how I want to practice gratitude, because if I want to really grow and build up my joy, then I'm going to have to think about, how I do process my gratitude and what things I'm actually going to do in order to practice it. So I'm thinking consistency. So I'm really liking the Instagram weekly gratitude post. So if you haven't joined me on there, that's really fun. And then you obviously can join in as well, leaving your 3 things we've been doing in the comments. But if you've only got 1 thing or you've got 7 things, that it's pretty irrelevant. I just usually do 3 myself. So that's quite nice. And then I get to read your comments, which uplifts me. And then you get to read everyone else's comments as well. So it's kind of like by leaving a comment there, we all get to share and uplift each other's spirits. And I really do like that. So I'm thinking I'm going to keep that going. And the consistency of once a week. I think I kind of fell off that consistency a little bit recently, but I am going to get back on track. I think I might do a gratitude post today actually on the Insta. And then I can read the answers. Let's have a look, shall we, on the stories. Let's see if I can find them now. So let's have a look, shall we? I've been totally the opposite, says Debs. Today, full of enthusiasm and energy. Amazing. Really proud of you. Poetry of waves. Actually doing the stuff and getting out of overthinking and control mode. Well done to you. That's amazing. I'm not there yet. So Tana B says she's having trouble going for a walk because it's really cold and foggy. Yes, it was really cold and foggy this morning. It's brightened up here a lot now though, so maybe you've got out if it's brightened up where you are. Millie Rose says, oh yes, I was nearly there this morning. She says getting out of bed. So yeah, all too familiar for me. I keep doing a thing of late to try and help myself regain a little bit of my sleep. So if I've had a really sleepless night, I give myself permission to try and sleep a little bit longer. So if that means I have to postpone starting my day till a bit later, then I let myself do that, if that makes sense. And I have been snatching a couple of extra hours in the mornings, where normally I would say get up by 7 o'clock. I just let myself stay in bed, maybe read for a bit, and also just see if I nod off again. And this morning I did. So now and again I do just get a couple of extra hours in. Anyway, I really feel for you if you can't get out of bed today. Terry Stewart's saying anything creative. With so much anxiety out there at the moment, it feels frivolous. Well, a really good thing to help cure and counter the anxiety and fear is some gratitude journaling. So maybe forget the creativity and all the pressure of that. So yeah, maybe sit and do some gratitude journaling like I did this morning. And I hope that helps. The other thing I do when I'm feeling full of fear and anxiety because the world has gone mad, and here in the UK, it's gone a bit bonkers today. So, yeah, with all the puppets in the puppet show, if you know what I mean. I don't want to go into all the politics and stuff because that's not what we're about on here. But now and again, when things get really, really crazy, it's worth a little mention, isn't it? But what I tend to do, Terry, is sort of getting into my fear and anxiety, I let the hormones flood through me, so the cortisol and adrenaline, it's got to move through you. Sometimes dancing helps, sometimes walking helps, sometimes just moving your body, or I sometimes, if I'm lying in bed, I have a big old stretch, massive stretch. And then I turn my attention away from it. So I don't watch the news, I've not got a telly, and yeah, I just don't look for a few days or a week or a month or however long I need. And I can check in here and there when I want to, but yeah, that way it's not in my face the whole time. It's not helpful for our immune systems and our mental well-being at all, is it? The way they're ramming all this stress down at us all the time. And I guess I wouldn't mind the reality of that if it wasn't for the fact that they don't counterbalance it with other good stuff. You know, like here's some good things going on and here's how you can help your immune system, and you could get out in some sunshine, or if you can't get sunshine then maybe try taking some vitamin D and do some self-care and have some salt baths and all that kind of thing. But but you don't really see any of that. Anyway, I guess that's what we've got YouTube for, haven't we? Because people on YouTube seem to do a lot of well-being stuff, and it helps motivate, doesn't it? We motivate each other on stuff, and so I love that about YouTube. I'm sorry you're having a bad day though. Getting out of bed alone, says Demi's creativity. Just because it's so cold and my bed is warm and comfy. Yeah, I totally feel that one. Finding the energy to stick to my daily rituals, says Shireen, I think I'm saying that right. Shireenhg, Shireen. Yeah, that's a really important one, and I think I kind of covered that today a little bit with where I'm at, didn't I? Where I'm saying I'm not there yet. So rather than push myself, I'm going to give myself a little bit more time. And maybe simplify as well some of my expectations, some of my rituals and things like that. So that might be a good idea for you as well. Sophia says admin work. Yeah, there's always more of that. Helen says tidying my studio is such a mess. I'll tell you what, if you come and help me do mine, I'll come and help do yours, because yeah, I need serious help as well. So someone else called Sam says can't get out of bed. Yeah, this seems to be quite a common theme. Be interesting to know which hemisphere you're all on, whether you're on the northern hemisphere like me. So Hun Bremerin says can't get started on studies. And let's do one more. Anbva, Anbva, life. Kids just went back to school after weeks of holiday, weather, closings and delays. Yeah, getting back into life after all this weird stuff is a real big deal, isn't it? And I do think that's where journaling can help support us. And if you haven't tried it, maybe we've inspired you to give it a go today. So before I go and leave you in peace, what are my final thoughts about gratitude journaling then? So I've said what a powerful tool I believe it to be in the toolbox, and there is science out there to say the same thing, so it's not just me being all airy-fairy about it. And I have practiced it for a long time myself as well, so I'm speaking from my own personal experience. So I think there's a couple of things I'd like to bring in as well as what I'm currently doing. I'm going to, like I say, keep going with the Instagram weekly gratitude journaling, and I love sharing that, because sharing it in the community is what makes it tenfold more powerful in my eyes. And then I've got my other places, so my writing journal and my art journal, where I can practice my own sort of personal writings and thinkings in there. And then that helps me maintain my consistency and repetition. And I think I read somewhere a few years ago about the importance, if you are gratitude journaling or you're having a gratitude practice, that it does become something consistent and it's a repeated process. But Also, I think if you're writing the same things down all the time as well, it's not as powerful, it's not as useful. So constantly thinking up new things to be grateful for. And again, I think that that's where the Instagram post for me is really good, because when I read everybody's comments in there, it gives me ideas of things that I can maybe be grateful for a different day as well. So it's very inspiring as well as uplifting. Yeah, I really like that practice. And I think the last thing that I'd like to bring into my own gratitude practice is meditation. So as I said, I think in last week's video, we talked a little bit about meditation, and it's obviously a really powerful and healing process in itself, especially to counter the current situation in the world, as you know, somebody quite rightly was saying on the Instagram question. And we do need to counter that, and we need to counterbalance it regularly. And so I think meditation can help that. And I like walking and meditating, or lying on my yoga mat and doing corpse pose or child's pose. I like to meditate like that. And I have been meditating in the wee hours when I'm sleepless as well. But I think I'd like to bring in the element of gratitude as well within that. And so I can do like a meditation / gratitude practice. And I think that'll be a really useful thing to bring into my toolbox. And maybe that's the first thing to start with as well, of my 2022 intentions. And one of the things I've been doing in my journal this week, which I haven't caught you up on yet because I haven't really had time, we've been talking quite a lot about gratitude, haven't we? But I've been doing something towards my 2022 intentions. So I'm kind of preparing for that moment when I am ready to kind of commit. And so I've been doing a self-love tree of great intention. See that okay? So that's what we've been doing in the Patreon, and the video of my whole process, as well as I've done another self-love tree as well. So I've got places to write, and then everything, the birds, the falling leaves, the roots, the tree, everything signifies something, if you like. So I did 2 trees, and each branch is going to be an intention. So I think I'm going to start with 1 or 2 branches just to start me off, and then I'm not too overwhelmed, if that makes sense. And I think I'm going to maybe decorate this page a little bit as well. I was going to do something arty there, but you know what, we just had to change the plan because it's got to work and it's got to be part of the process. So yeah, I can do something arty on the back. And don't forget to tag me on Instagram as well. I'll leave my thing up there if you do any journaling and you want to show me. I've had a look at some of the tags, and there's some fairies and all sorts going on there, so thanks for doing that, because it's nice to see what you're doing as well. And again, it's the beauty of the internet, isn't it, that sort of interconnectedness that we can all share to help keep our spirits bright, obviously. So have I got anything else to tell you before I go? I don't think so. So I'll leave you in peace. Thanks for keeping me company. I've really enjoyed our session of journaling again. So try to keep your lights shining bright, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Mwah. Bye for now.